what I'd like to do is introduce y'all, and if I get your last name wrong, it's Robert Bache.
Yes.
He's here with his wife Elaine. And I'd also like to introduce John Swain, his wife Wendy. Thank you all for coming. It's really quite an honor for me to look back and think that is 1948 that this clock was given to the Wire Association by our friends in the English wire industry on there. It goes back, well, that was 3 years before I was born, so that tells me it's pretty doggone old school. It's quite a tradition to keep up with. And after the show in Dusseldorf this past year, Steve and I were invited down to Stamford, England for a dinner at the the George Hotel in Stamford. Had with the Clockwinders group there, had a special dinner. It was really a wonderful evening. And yet, once or twice in my life I've had a cocktail or two and I get to tell a story and get up on a tangent. And I think I did a little bit that evening. But kind of special for me when I look at this and think of, you know, what our two countries went through in World War II. And I told the story there. You know, my father was a B-24 pilot in World War II, but he was in the Pacific. And I'll never forget, you know, the name of his plane was the Rough Nights, and I didn't know hardly anything about what he did in the war until after he passed away, because he never would talk about it. And after he passed away, found all these articles, and we had several different medals, and they had their cap where they keep track of their bombing missions on there, and there was got to look at. I have that in my office now. There's like 19 of those over Iwo Jima, and 49 in total. But all it gets back to how quickly it's so easy to forget and let time just have things drift away. So to be able to be here and carry on this tradition, it's just, I'm just really proud to be part of it. And at this point in time, I'd just like to turn it over to Robert, say a few words, and let you wind the clock too.
Right, that's very good. Thank you very much. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, I must say that you actually live in the most and work in the most fantastic setting. This New England is absolutely. There were so many oohs and ahs coming up from New York. Mind you, we did get lost in New York, but that was John's area. And I can tell you all about it if you want to hear later. Well, I'm Robert Bache. My wife Elaine is in the corner there. And we are extremely honoured to be over here to continue this tradition of clockwinding. It's a magnificent occasion, stemming back from 48, and obviously the history of the clock is probably as you all know. And it is a fabulous honour, trust me on that. My first involvement with the wire industry was when I have a business that manufactures storage equipment, and this gentleman here, Mr. Swain, came and sold me an awful lot of well mesh. I wasn't quite sure whether I needed it at the time, but I bought it off him, and that relationship went through all the generations. He was with GKN, Tinsley, Eckhart, and even now to like the Siddall and Hilton group. And I then got talked into actually turning a business into a distribution business, and John decided it was a good idea if I did a distribution business. So, and that now is actually run by my son, and he's right. It's a very nice business, and we tend to deal with very nice people in the wine industry. And the ones I've met so far appears to be the same in the American wine industry. I dare say there's a few tough ones, but We produce predominantly for Europe, and we have a fairly healthy export percentage to our business, which when we had a few of the tough times 5 years ago, our exports did keep us going well then. So we're very proud of the actual fact that, as I say, 50%, 60% of our business is export. We do deal predominantly with most of the car trade. The Fords, Jaguar Land Rover is a huge success story for the UK at the moment. They're exporting just all over the world. And unfortunately, it took an Indian company to bring it out, which is a shame. But I think unfortunately Ford America really regret having sold it, because they did have a tremendous product. Another of the honours that I've been bestowed upon me is I was asked to join the livery company, the tin plate workers. And to do that, you have to be a freeman of the City of London, which I haven't got a clue what that entailed. And that's the tie today. So John and I are both freemen of the City of London, and the livery is pretty much a charitable setup. But what it does have, it has all the, what I call the movers and the shakers of 10 and 20 years ago, of all the chief executives of all the top wire companies in the UK. And that is absolutely fabulous to go down and talk to them and find out exactly how you should run your business, and it's great experience. Being a freeman of the City of London actually is not all it's cracked up to be, is it? I mean, I think our only benefit, or our only bonus, is we are allowed to herd sheep across Tower Bridge. Now that is presuming you have sheep in the first place, obviously. But delivery gave me the opportunity to meet your First Lady, Clockwinder, Kate Siddall, and Kate and Peter are really good friends now, and that was the benefit of the livery. I said earlier that our main customer was the car companies. Well, equally we have a Bache, we are contracted to supply goods to the Ministry of Defence in our country, which means we send storage equipment to Afghanistan and places like this. And it's that part of it really is where we start, or where I start, with the special relationship that we have with America, because obviously we're supplying stuff into Afghanistan. We also supplied some equipment through a company called HESCO, who produced all the Bastion products, and we produced what they call a HAP, which is basically the roof of a dormitory or office, and we did all the steelwork for the roof of it. HESCO produced all the walls for the defensive part of it, and we had as I said, 4-year contract with the MOD, and when we first took it on, we had a visitation from several brigadiers, generals. There was everybody. It was more scrambled egg on hats than you can imagine. And they asked us, apart from the storage group, did we do anything else? And I just dropped it out that we did these. We'd done about 300 of these dormitories for a trial. And the guy went to us, white as a sheet. And I thought, hell, I've said something I shouldn't have here. And he just said, would you please thank all your men? Because I was in one when it was hit. And I walked out. So I thought, we're not going to get any trouble with this contract, I don't think, now. I've saved the bloke's life. And it was a fact. But I do think with the sort of potential problems and the actual problems that this world is having at the moment, it's good to have a wingman. And I think Great Britain has a wingman in America, in the USA. And little gestures like this go a little way to showing that special arrangement. And as I say, America to us is very, very special. And I don't know whether you like to be called America or whether you want to be the United States, but whichever, it's a very special arrangement. And with the problems that we are going to have with the Syria business, and we need friends. And hopefully we've got them. I'd just like to conclude by thanking Bill for the hospitality we had last night. That liquid hospitality we had last night. It was a beautiful meal. I know that, I'm not sure about that last brandy though, Bill. And Steve, where is he? Steve, he's actually done most of the negotiations with my secretary, haven't you? But Steve, thank you very, very much, and for your secretary for all the work that you've done. It's much, much appreciated. And thank you very much from my wife and myself and John and Wendy for that fabulous hospitality. Can we just keep that special relationship going? Thank you very much.
Now it's time to keep the clock moving.
Oh dear.
We're going to take a bunch of photographs, so take your time.
Come on then, David. Show me what I've got to do. I'm not going to ask you, John, to say when.
Don't ask me.
I'll ask David.
You might be the only one recently who's not broke yet.
Is that up to the line?
Yeah, that should be good.
Oh,
You sure? Thank you very much. In fairness, it was fairly easy to